West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, and with me as ever is my partner in crime, Santokie Naginendran. Santokie, how you doing?
Yeah, all good, Mash. Hope you're well. And, we're coming up to May, and that means the return of international cricket for West Indies, specifically some white ball cricket series going on. And it got me thinking, Mash, we're not that far off from the next T20 World Cup. It's only about 9 months away. It felt like the one in the USA and the Caribbean was only a few months ago. But we're heading into 2026, and we're here to look at an important topic. Who should be the all-rounders in the West Indies T20 side? And now, It's apt we record this on today, which is Andre Russell's 37th birthday. He turns 37 today. And Mash, there was an interesting piece that dropped in Wisdom today looking at Andre Russell and his recent decline, specifically in the IPL for Kolkata with the bat, and sort of asking, at this point in time, would it be wise for Russell to consider retiring at least from the IPL after this season because of his age and sort of decline in stats? And Mash, I was just thinking back to it. When you actually deep it, Andre Russell gave one of the great promos after the last World Cup last year, because he essentially said he got into the best shape of his career, done well, done decently for West Indies at that tournament. But then after the final game against England, he basically said, I'm going to carry on playing to the 2026 World Cup because no one else is as good as me, is essentially what he said. He said, no one else is living up to it. I'm Dre Russ. I'm going to be here to 2026. So he basically booked his own plane ticket to the 2026 T20 World Cup. And it even got me thinking, yeah, Dre Russ is the man. Like, he can play 2026. Whereas now I'm thinking, hold on a minute. Was that promo a bit premature? Because suddenly we're seeing a decline in Andre Russell's fortunes. And the fact he doesn't play bilateral cricket generally means it's going to be hard for him to kind of get into form ahead of that World Cup, bearing in mind the IPL is done and dusted. The World Cup is before the IPL next year. It's going to be very hard for him to get into plans, Sammy's plans for that T20 World Cup. So it's an interesting one with Dre Russ, Mash. Where do you sort of stand on it? What's your sort of take on Dre Russ's position at the moment?
Yeah, as you were talking, I was just crunching and looking at certain numbers and stuff. I think the first thing to kind of understand and break down, so I'm going to give people, because already on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, we like to come with the stats and the facts, right? In 2024, which was the World Cup year for the West Indies, so this is Andre Russell's last T20 calendar data for West Indies. In 2024, with the bat, Andre Russell averaged 31 at a strike rate of 196. Okay, that's the whole of 2024. All those games before it, the World Cup itself, and if he played in any of it afterwards. I'm going to say that again. He played 11 matches in 2024 for West Indies. He averaged 31 at a strike rate of 196. To put that in perspective, Santokie, there's only been one other year in his career for the West Indies where he's where he's gone at a better strike rate with a decent enough average, right? Which was in 2018. Obviously, there was COVID in 2019. In 2018, he averaged 60 in 4 matches at a strike rate of 194. And then in 2020, he only played 2 matches, but he went at a strike rate of 268. So last year, generally speaking, was Andre Russell's second best, or probably best, actually, if you look at it, calendar year in a West Indies jersey with the bat. With the ball, he bowled in 11 matches. He took 14 wickets at an average of 20 with an economy of 8.98. Now, Santokie, the reason I read those numbers out, and I should just state that economy of 8.98 ranks about 3rd or 4th in terms of his best calendar year in terms of return with the ball. It was his best calendar year in terms of wickets taken for the West Indies as well. Now, the reason why I read out those stats is, if we go purely based on his last calendar year for the West Indies and what he produced, I think he's right to say there is no better all-rounder in the region than me. Yes, there's a few people who might want to say, what about me? But based on those numbers, he was right to puff out his chest and say, until any of these shit men can prove they're better than me, I'm gonna still play for the West Indies. However, Santokie, that's the kind of pro. That's the argument to keep Andre Russell in the team. The argument against it is that time waits for no man. He's just turned 37 years old and is having a stinker in the IPL. However, the question mark here then is, should the IPL be an indicator of anything to do with the West Indies? I would say no. However, Andre Russell has a habit of picking and choosing when he will play for the West Indies T20 side. So let's say, Santokie, he has a stinker for the remainder of IPL, has a stinker in CPL. Let's just say hypothetics, doesn't really play for the West Indies because he doesn't think he has to. Then the World Cup comes about. Does he walk straight into the World Cup squad? Over to you, Santokie.
Surely he can't, because, like in any other circumstances where a player's playing bilaterals, you'd say, okay, if he had a bad IPL, at least he can get back into the West Indies side, play bilaterals, because you can kind of work out his role in the side and it could be different in different environment from the IPL. However, like you said, Dre Ross is very unlikely to play bilaterals. He might play the last one before the World Cup next year, which is, I think, against South Africa in January, just to get that recent form. But for the rest of the year, Mash, we have to base his form on what we see in franchise cricket. And like you said, IPL, there's only a few more games to go. Calcutta having a down bad season. So it's basically been a stinker for him already in the IPL. And then, like you said, we move on to, I don't know how seriously you can take Major League Cricket, depending on his performances there. But CPL is what we're going to be looking at, what he can do for the Trinbago Knight Riders. And it leads to big questions, Mash, about his place if he does have a poor CPL, just because of the fact, like you said, time waits for no man. So the fact he's 37, he'll be approaching 38 by the time of the next World Cup. Your eye coordination is going to be down naturally. Like you already said in the stats, his 6 hitting ability has gone down. He's only bowling 1 over on average for Kolkata per match. So in terms of being an all-rounder, he's lost that effectiveness as a death bowler. So there's a lot of questions, but then it kind of swings it round to his original point. Is there anyone else who sort of can lay a claim to taking his spot as the all-rounder in the West Indies side? Are anyone sort of putting a marker down and saying, look, we're here, we're ready to take Dre Ross's spot? Now, that leads to the first candidate for that all-rounder position, someone who played as an all-rounder with Dre Ross at the World Cup and has continued that throughout West Indies bilaterals for the rest of last year and is currently at RCB, Roario Shepherd. Now, Mash, the thing I have with Roario Shepherd is, it goes back to that question of consistency. And my thing is, if we're looking at his all-round capabilities in the IPL, he's playing for RCB, who are doing well. So Romario's not batted yet. I don't think he's even had to bat in the 3 games he's played. He's bowled a handful of overs. So if you're basing Romario's claims on his bilateral form for last year, does Roario retain his spot as that second all-rounder and finisher in the West Indies side for you, Mash?
I think there's 2 different questions here, because let's just say hypothetics, we remove Andre Russell from the team. We're removing our number 7 batter. Yeah. Now, you're right to say that based on how we went into the World Cup and out of the World Cup, it was kind of like Dre at 7, Romario at 8, Multi and Akil, I think. And then, did Multi play in the World Cup? Was it Multi and Akil? Yeah, Multi and Akil. And then Alzari Joseph. Right, so it meant that our pace attack, generally speaking, over the last year has been Alzari, Romario, Andre Russell, and then the spin of Multi and Akil. That's our 5 bowlers. I'm not saying that's fixed in stone, but generally speaking, that was kind of our attack, with Roston Chase as the 6th option. Now, the reason why I start there is, if we hypothetically say Andre comes out of the team and we say Romario is his heir apparent, what you then need to find is, well, who fulfills Andre Russell's overs? Because he bowls his allocation, generally speaking, in the West Indies team. And obviously he bats at 7 to come down and try and leng some 6s at the back end, right? So you have to ask yourself, who else fulfills that role? Now, argument says that Roario Shepherd isn't even fulfilling his own role, much less Andre Russell's role, right? So if I give you, for example, CPL last year, Roario actually did really well in CPL with the bat last year. In the 10 matches he played for Amazon Warriors, he averaged 39 at a strike rate of was it once? I need to go back and double check. But I think it was a strike rate of 175, right? So 39 at a strike rate of 175. But with the ball, he only took 5 wickets at an economy of 9.26, right? Now, I'll go and pull his West Indies numbers for 2024 in a second. But the problem for me is deeper than just should Andre Russell go, because I'm not convinced that Roario Shepherd has elevated his levels to 1, replace Andre Russell, 2, to even replace the old Roario Shepherd. Because Roario doesn't show a level of consistency that even makes us be certain that Roario Shepherd is playing. And people have to remember with the West Indies T20 side that as much as the batting can be down bad, we're always looking at our bowling going, who's going to bowl the 20 overs, which is why Roston Chase always gets in the side, because he's the 6th bowler to make up for the fact that we aren't guaranteed that our 5 bowlers are actually going to do their job with the ball, right? So I guess my question to you, coming back to you, is Roario Shepherd even a certainty in the side? At the moment, he is, but this speaks to possibly a deeper question of, is there even any depth of all-rounders in general, pace all-rounders in the region?
Boy, we better pray someone's coming through this breakout league, you know, to come through. Because I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think with Roario, Dre Ross, throughout his career, the one thing he's given West Indies is consistency. Like, you know, his 4 overs, generally, he's not going to go above 35. He's not going to concede more than 35 runs. And we know generally, coming down the order at 6-7, he can go at a 200 strike rate. He's got that consistency. Roario, in a group stage match where everything is on the line, I would almost expect him to leak runs towards the end, because he seems to sort of lose composure in big game scenarios. There's not that consistency. But then when you've sort of given up on him, he'll put together a run of consistent performances for like 3 or 4 games. And you're like, hold on, there's something here. So Roario is an interesting one. I think on merit, if you're looking at the lineage of West Indies T20 recent history, going back to when we won the World Cup in 2012, Roario doesn't fit the caliber of one of our all-rounders on in terms of stats. But it goes back to Dre Ross's promo. He's sort of the best of the rest at the moment. There's not 2 other all-rounders in the region who can say they're performing better than Roario Shepherd. So for me at the moment, if you're naming your squad now, Roario has to take one of the all-round spots just because he's the best of the rest, essentially. And if you're going to eliminate Dre Ross from the equation for the reasons we said earlier in the video, then Roario is definitely guaranteed one of the all-round spots, Smash.
Let me just read you Roario Shepherd's 2024 stats for the West Indies. So last year, 2024, Roario played 21 matches batted in 21 matches for the West Indies, 17 innings. He averaged 21. Now remember, Dre Russ averaged 31, right? So Roario averaged 21, and Romario's strike rate was 125. Dre's strike rate was 193, right? Then with the ball, Roario bowled in 20 innings. Now, Dre took 14 wickets in his 13 innings or 11 innings. So Dre took 14 wickets in 11 innings. Roario took 23 wickets in 20 innings at an average of 26. Dre's average was 20. And Romario's economy was 9.26. Dre's economy was 8.98. Now, just on simple stats, you can understand why Dre puffed out his chest and said Dre did the Taz promo. Beat me if you can, survive if I let you. He did the big ECW promo, cuz.
Hold on, what? I would love to know what the reaction is from like his colleagues and players and people in the region, because he basically said, every man is shit out here. I'm an old guy, but I'm still the best. I'm still better than you lot, and I will be better than you lot in 2 years' time. So don't even worry about it.
Man projected a whole 2 years, you know.
Man said to Cricket West Indies, look, book me that flight now to India. Yeah, don't even think about it.
Listen, before we go to the next the kind of next conversation point around this all-rounder spot, it's only right, Santokie, that we just hear a bit from our sponsors. Yes, people, I just put a line in going, hear a bit from our sponsors. Now, Santokie, yesterday when I did the show, I didn't even record the video. I just played the video and started talking. But earlier today, I actually recorded an actual voiceover for it. So people, if you missed the news yesterday, Caribbean Cricket Podcast, we have a long-awaited sponsor. Big up the guys in Trinidad, Parlay Pros. And here's a video I did earlier. You can hear a little bit about them. Have you ever wanted access to a sophisticated sports analytical tool? One that allows you to study trends, patterns, lines on all your favorite teams and players in your chosen sport, whether that be the NBA, the NFL, the NBL, the WNBA, or any other sport for that matter. Parlay Pros are the right bet for you. Data-driven insights that allow you to flutter on sports without simple guesswork. Should you want to know more? Just click the link in the descriptor below and join that WhatsApp group chat to learn more about what you can gain from joining Parlay Pros. But as ever, Caribbean Cricket Podcasts, we don't do things, we don't tell you to have to do something. We always say that whatever you choose to do, make that your choice based on the clear information in front of you. If you want to elevate your sports betting experience to a whole new level, Parlay Pros are your guys. But whatever you do, always do things responsibly. You don't know, people. Caribbean Cricket Podcasts and Parlay Pros. We're out here. We are out here indeed. What do you reckon, Santokie? I did that about 10 minutes before we went live.
Man, no, it's good, man. Some good catchphrases, man. Say you don't know.
But listen, people, on a serious one, big up the guys at Parlay Pros for believing in the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. In the descriptor below, you can see the link if you're interested in trying to elevate your sports betting experience, but with data-driven analytics. Click that link below. That doesn't commit you to anything. It just allows you to learn more about what they do, and then it's up to you what decisions you want to make from there. So big up Parlay Pros. Santokie, so we've spoken about Dre, we've spoken about Roario. However, over in Pakistan, the forgotten man of West Indies T20 cricket is staking a claim. What do you say about Jason Holder, Santokie?
Yeah, I think you're right there. The forgotten man. He hadn't really come into the equation. He hasn't played for West Indies in over a year since that Australia series 2024. Obviously got injured ahead of the T20 World Cup. Has sort of just I think he's been in rehab for most of 2024, and he's sort of come back now, and he signed for Islamabad United in the PSL. Currently second highest wicket taker with 12 wickets, and he's been batting at a 200 strike rate, I believe, coming in at number 7 for Islamabad. He hit 32 or 14 not long ago, so he's showing he can power hit. So Jason Holder, Mash, he's sort of put himself back into the equation. I don't think there's been any question marks about Jason Holder's sort of talent, but in regards to the T20 format, he's just never been someone who you feel, in terms of being an all-rounder who can finish, he's not someone who you think could do that role. However, it seems like he spent a lot more time on his power hitting and batting ahead of this PSL stint. And maybe he's had it in mind that, look, that's probably my best way to get back into the side, coming down the order as someone who can finish on top of, we know what Holder can do with the ball in white ball cricket. So if he's added that to his repertoire, I think we'll need to see it over a more consistent period. It's only been about 5 or 6 games in the PSL. If he can do that, if he gets a recall in the bilaterals for West Indies, if he can come strike at a 200 strike rate, Mash, it solves a big problem for West Indies if Jason Holder sort of evolved his game in T20 cricket. What are you saying?
100%. So I would like to see, after the PSL is over, I want to see, obviously we've got the white ball tours of England and Ireland. I'm just trying to remember that England, in fact, they're both, so Holder technically may be included or should be included in elements of that tour, right? But we'll see. We don't know. He may request to be rested. I don't know. It depends how hungry he is to get himself back into the T20 setup. Now, let's say he comes out of PSL, he comes back to some of those international bilaterals in Ireland, England, etc., plays CPL and carries on the form. There would then be a more spoiled Santokie talking about with the bat, because I think we know what he can do with the ball. We know he can play a role with the ball in international T20 cricket. The issue is there isn't a space for him in the team with the ball. Alzari will always get picked ahead of him. Moti and Akil will get picked ahead of him. So his only spot, as you rightly say, really is if he can force his way into the 2 all-rounder spots at 7 and 8. If Dre is on the decline, Holder would leapfrog him if he can maintain or show an ability to power hit. But let me explain what power hit means in the context of Holder. I don't mean power hit to the level of Pete Dre. I mean he needs to power hit to the level of Roario Shepherd, and then Roario Shepherd needs to elevate his power hitting. So the way it would then work is Shepherd takes Dre's role, Holder takes Shepherd's role.
Yeah.
Do you get where I'm coming from? I don't envisage a scenario where Holder replaces Dre and Roario keeps his spot in the team.
Yeah, no, it's
I
impossible.
don't see how he leapfrog Dre and Roario sticks around.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, like you said, I can't envision Holder taking his power hitting game to a level where we're seeing him clearing sixes. I think Holder's more of a batter who, like a Kane Williamson or Faf du Plessis, who can just play it smart. But if he can up his 6 levels, 6 hitting ability, then that's basically how he needs to sort of style his game. But I don't think realistically we're going to see him get to the level of Dre Ross where he's clearing 100-meter boundaries on a regular basis. But like you said, it's sort of like, if you're looking at it in terms of like a ladder process, Romario should be taken over from J. Ross and Holder taking that second vacant spot. So for me, I'd like to see Holder play those bilaterals, the T20s in England and Ireland. As you said, there's no reason why he shouldn't. It comes about 2 weeks after PSL finishes, so he should have had a bit of a rest and more importantly, have momentum behind him for that series. And if he does come in, you'd imagine Sammy will play him at 6 or 7, and that will basically be his audition to kind of, you know what, here's your chance, here's your opportunity to lay a claim down for the 2026 T20 World Cup. Because similar to Dre Ross, obviously there's a slight difference in age, but you'd imagine for Holder, realistically, this is the last T20 World Cup he's going to have a shot at. He's turning 34 this year. He'll be 36, 37 by the time the next one comes. So if you're looking at it just from an athlete perspective, realistically, he'll be looking at this like, boy, this could be my last chance at a World Cup, T20 World Cup.
Yeah, and do you know what? So I'm just looking at, because I'm just looking at something before I start saying this level of madness. I'm just looking back at that Sri Lanka series, because I'm going to make a point to you, but I don't know if it's a mad point. Bear with me, Santokie. Right, here we go. So, yeah, see, okay, right. People obviously get in the comments below. Let us know what you're saying. What do you think about the argument around Dre, Romario, Holder? Now, listen to this, Santokie. The last all-rounder, the last person that I'm going to bring that could potentially fit in this all-rounder slot is as follows. Listen to this argument I'm about to bring to you. Our current top 6 looks something like this, assuming Rodman Powell no longer keeps his spot because he's not captain. Lewis and King to open. I'm not saying this is definite. People listening, I'm not saying this is definite. I'm just saying it could be this. Lewis and King opening. Puran 3. Hope 4, because he's obviously captain, so he now has a spot for sure. Rutherford 5. Chase 6. Obviously, Chase's role depends on what's going on in the game, right? Now, Chase only gets in our team because we're worried about the 5 bowling options, right? And we're worried that one of those 5 tends to go for serious licks, whether it be Romario, Dre, whoever it might be. So Chase offers us the off-spinning 6th bowler option. You'll remember, Santokie, that at the back end of last year, more and more they've been experimenting with Shafane Rutherford bowling the odd 1 or 2 overs here. And I think that's deliberate because they're trying to find a way to not have to get, not because they want Chase out, but Chase almost is taking up a spot because of the deficiencies of other players, if that makes sense. Is there a chance, Santokie, that if Dre's, let me try and see what I'm trying to say here. If Dre's decline continues, is there a chance that what they do to get round it is actually they bring Hetmeyer in? Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Let me finish this. Let me finish this point. So let me explain this Hetty for Dre argument, which of course makes little to no sense. The Hetty to Dre argument is if you take Dre out of this team, Romario Shepherd does not have the ability to bat at peak Dre, right? He's got Romario can do it in like one game in every 7 maybe, but he's not Pete Dre. Holder can't bat like Pete Dre. Hetty, however, has a specific role in international cricket where he's supposed to just slog for 5 balls or 5 to 10 balls and try hit over the boundary. That's his specific identified role in international cricket. Could you see, and it's a wild card, Santokie, could you see a wild card situation where Dre loses his spot, Hetty comes in, which elongates the batting lineup, but with the idea that they're going to turn Rutherford into some kind of all-rounder? Could you see something crazy like that happening?
I could see it because it's West Indies cricket. I don't think it will work, though, unless you literally... Hetmyer at the moment, again, it's that inconsistency. If we need to score 40 off 15 balls to win a match and Hetmyer comes out, there's a good chance he'll go for a dock, for instance, like because he hasn't got that control to his slogging. At least with Drevas, there was a level of control and like consistency I talked about. I just don't trust Hetmyer, and I don't think there's much of an upshot to bringing him into the side. If anything, you're better off doing what England did at the World Cup in recent World Cups and have basically, where's Moeen Ali floated up and down the order, have Rutherford and Pooran essentially have no fixed positions. And if you need someone to finish, you bring in a Pooran at number 6, number 7 kind of thing. I'd fancy that rather than Hetmyer coming in, just because Hetmyer can't bowl, and I'm not sure what he can produce with the bat if it's more than 5 or 6 balls he's facing at the moment. So you never say never. I can envision it happening. I just don't think it'd be a good idea. It's not a World Cup winning side if you've got Hetmyer in it. I don't think so.
So then let's end this episode with these questions then. Just quick fire questions. Are the West Indies better off without Andre Russell in their first 11 T20 side? Right now, if you were asked that question right now, based on what you've seen in IPL, are they better off without Dre? Or are you still picking Dre in your side?
I'm still picking Dre in my side, just because I think his mentality and sort of the player he is for West Indies cricket, he could be different from a bad season in IPL, or he can reverse that sort of form. I haven't given up on Dre just yet. I think he's got enough credit in the bank to be given that opportunity. And more so, I'm not seeing enough from, obviously we talked about Shepherd and Holder, but generally I'm not seeing enough from, if there were 3 or 4 all-rounders in the region who were performing well at franchise leagues, IPL, PSL, I'd be like, hold on, maybe it's time for Drevas to go. But we've got limited resources, so I think we still need to give Drevas some sort of run. But I would say the onus is on him to play bilaterals this year then. I don't think he can be complacent and say, I'm not going to play before the World Cup. I think he needs to play bilaterals to prove himself.
And then last question, what would it take for you? So the World Cup, I think, is in February next year or something, February 2026, in India, Sri Lanka. What would it take for you for Darren Sammy to name a World Cup squad and exclude? In fact, no, I don't think there's any. In fairness, no. That's a dumb argument. I think Dre goes to the World Cup in a squad regardless, right? But what would it take for you to no longer have him as a certain pick in the starting 11?
I think it's a combination of his form in CPL and franchise tournaments going forward, running concurrently with, if Jason Holder continues his form in bilaterals and CPL, if Roston Chase continues to do well in CPL, if Roario Shepherd has an outstanding CPL for Guyana Amazon Warriors, you're looking at those factors and running it along with J. Ross's performance. Essentially, he's in competition for his spot, which he hasn't been in since he's been recalled to the West Indies side under Darren Sammy. So it's pressure on him, but he definitely knows 2026 is going to be his last international tournament. So he's going to put everything. We saw what he did last year in terms of getting his physique right and getting his fitness right. So I think he's going to put all attempts in to keeping his spot in that West Indies 11. But this is West Indies cricket match. For all we know, in India next year, we'll be having Joe Andrew coming out as that finisher at number 7.
Thing is, I don't even know why I'm laughing, because anything's possible. For all we know, Johnson Charles is opening at the World Cup in 2026. So anything
Exactly. This is what
possible.
I mean. I remember we did a big video in the middle of like 2021 looking at all the bowlers who could play for West Indies cricket. By the time the World Cup rolled around, Ravi Rampal, who hadn't played T20 cricket for 5 years, was leading our pace attack, fam. So never say never in West Indies cricket.
Listen, people, as ever, Get in the comments below. I'm fairly certain people are going to have their opinions on this. Who would you go forward with? 3 for 2 spots. And in fairness, there may be someone that you think Santokie and I should have mentioned.
Yeah.
It's unlikely. I mean, you can call a Shamar Springer. He got a debut last year. You can call a Shamar Springer, but come on, people. Respectfully to Shamar Springer. If we're even saying that Holder's facing a fight to get in, then of course Shamar Springer shouldn't really be in that conversation unless he has like the season of his life in CPL. But maybe there's somebody we're missing out that you all think that we should be talking about. But let's leave it like this, people. 3 from 2. The World Cup is literally in about 8 months. Who should be in our starting 11 at the World Cup if you were picking a team right now between Dre, Roario, and Holder? 3 from 2. Is Dre's time up? Or is it not? I've been Machel St. Patrick Hewitt. Santokie has been Santokie. We've been the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. As ever, people, you can see the ticker tape below. Like, share, subscribe, all of that. You heard the link about Parlay Pros. Please support the movement if you can. Everybody, obviously, it's a partnership. It's a sponsorship. You should have an idea of how that works. If you're interested, go click that link. But if you're not interested, but you still want to support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, as ever, you can go to www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket, people. If any little bit helps and counts. And Santokie, last words to you.
Yeah, as ever, comment below, who do you think, we've got 3 into 2 all-rounder spots. I know a lot of people are going to say Jimbo. We should have mentioned Jimbo. I know he's got a lot of supporters. But if there's any other all-rounders who you think we might have missed out, or who you think by next year will be ready to take that all-rounder spot in the West Indies cricket, comment below. We love the debate. As Mash said, follow us on all socials. We're looking to get out to Ireland in about 3 weeks' time, so look out for some content there. As always, the content keeps moving forward. 2025 Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are watching in the world. Take care, and we'll see you very soon.
Indeed, we will, people. And I just realized I didn't load up the video, but now we will. See you all very, very soon.
West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast. West Indies Cricket, Caribbean Cricket Podcast.